Low prices, love the savings. Is Matt Eberflus the right call for the Chicago Bears? Jeremy, go ahead.
Let me answer that question as quick as I can.
No.
How stupid can you possibly be?
Now, come on. He led a good defense in Indianapolis.
The defense is not the problem. The problem is that you have a quarterback that's going to need a lot of, tutelage.
Mm-hmm.
And you bring in a defensive guy? Are you kidding me?
I agree 100%.
Oh, but he could bring in a great offensive coordinator. Yeah, that would take another job. If he can turn Justin Fields into anything, that coordinator will be a head coach in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
The one that's tied to the organization is the head coach. And look, Matt Eberflus, probably a great guy. Probably a guy I would love to sit around and have a cold beverage with. But if you had asked me before this process, what is the stupidest combination I could possibly see? I can't tell you this would have been the one. It would have been worth talking about.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but to me, this hiring plays in the long line of Chicago Bears football. Defense is king. Defense is the thing that the whole franchise was built upon.
It's weird. That's what the franchise was built upon. You remember that question I asked in the last segment about get me to the third best quarterback in Steelers history? Who's the best quarterback the Bears have ever had?
Jim McMahon.
All right, who's two? It gets very Jay
Kyle
Cutlery, Kyle Orton-ish in a hurry. And now you're completely leveraged, having given up a first-round pick, an extra first-round pick, to get Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And now not only do you bring in a first-time head coach, you bring in a first-time head coach who's a defensive guy. Somebody please make sense of that to me. And in the comments, Stephen Towle said the Bears can't be too picky. You'd be surprised. There was more interest in this job than I would have ever thought there would be.
Right.
Because there were so many different grades on Justin Fields and different takes on the first year in the league. There were more offensive guys that were ready, willing, and able to sign up for this than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to like what I'm getting ready to say. I think Jim Caldwell was actually the answer. I know that sounds nuts when I say it.
Yeah.
But think about what he did with quarterbacks that, we'll be nice and say, had some limitations. Joe Flacco had some limitations. Did pretty good things in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford had some limitations. Got the Lions to the playoffs.
Right.
But every team he ever had regressed. Now, why would that possibly be? Maybe because his quarterbacks got old. They got old and hurt.
Except
Looking at stats and just... Matt Stafford was always limited, and that front office was a disaster.
Oh, I agree with you.
An absolute disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim Caldwell could have hired a phenomenal staff. And then you're tied to the guy. I wouldn't have cared if it was Nathaniel Hackett. I wouldn't have cared if it was Brian Daboll. Just somebody with a vision for this one player that your entire franchise is tied to. Ask you a theoretical question.
Okay.
How good does Justin Fields have to be for this franchise to not be in the pit of misery for the next 4 years?
How good does he have to be?
Mm-hmm. And I want you to think about the fact that in new GM, I don't know how you're going to be. I have no idea how he will draft with this team. I don't know. Ryan Poles from Kansas City. Look at the talent around him. All right, you got David Montgomery, who is very talented. We never had an issue with the talent. The line's not great. Your best receiver is a free agent and has no desire to come back. So you're telling me that you're going to bring in a defensive coordinator to oversee the tutelage of your young quarterback who's greatly flawed, and your current number one receiver is Darnell Mooney. How is that any different than what you've done over the last 30 years?
It's not. That's the thing. It's not really different. And the only thing that I can think is that the organization, the front office, and the ownership was looking at this and went, we went with an offensive guy last time and it didn't work. And now we're just going to go back to what works.
And to me, the only way I can rationale this is that the brain trust of this organization got burned by Ryan Pace, who came from he's a New Orleans guy. So he came from a up-pace, kind of spready offense. Got burned by Matt Nagy, who was a spread offense coordinator.
Yes.
And he went, nope, you know what? This is not how we do things in Chicago. We play good defense. Monsters of the Midway. Yeah, you're way closer to Monsters, Inc. than you are to Monsters of the Midway. Stephen Town. I got to give credit where credit's due there. Oh, that wasn't me.
Good one, Stephen.
I mean, that's where you are.
Right.
This is I'm mad today, and I promise you I'm going to get much more, we'll say, animated about this at the end of this here program. But I read this and went, you've got to be kidding me.
This was not the choice that you would have made. You would have gone with it.
And again, this is not a slight at Matt Eberflus. There can be a right guy, because I think he's a head coach in this league. I don't think he's a head coach here. There's a right guy in a wrong place, and that is the definition of what this is.
The only thing different to me about the successful coaches that the Chicago Bears have had and this hiring is that all of them had previous experience. Now you're going with a guy who has no head coaching experience.
Successful.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do just to get about. I want to come back to what you just said.
Okay. Let's get just a bit outside.
Boy, you must be outside your mind.
The Sportsocracy.
Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
I could see I hit a nerve there. This could be fun. One thing that we do know is that Les Miles is crazy.
Yes, he is he ate grass routinely, and I think it had chemicals in it because it started to really mess with his brain.
And this has nothing to do with the off-the-field things and why he got in trouble with LSU and all of that. If you did not see the story, though, Jamar Chase, the star rookie wide receiver, says he was recruited by Les Miles, and Les Miles told him he couldn't play receiver. He wanted him to be a cornerback. He apparently just he didn't feel like he could catch well enough to play wide receiver.
Well, in fairness, he did have some hands issues, and there were some very astute draft prognosticators that said that could be a problem in the NFL.
Astute, yeah. That was you.
Hi. That's the thing I said.
Right.
But now I will say thank you, Les Miles, because your stupid take makes my stupid take look like a Tonka toy.
Yeah, Jamar Chase should not have been or could not play wide receiver in college. He wanted him to be a cornerback, but that's not to me, that's pretty dumb. That is very dumb. It's a very dumb thing. He did this with another player, Dak Prescott. He tried to recruit Dak Prescott to LSU and told him he couldn't be a quarterback. He needed to be a tight end.
Okay. I'm going to be real honest. You could do this with probably every coach in America.
I'm sure you could, but the fact that it's Les Miles to me is like,
that's why it's a story.
Yeah.
I've seen this story no less than 40 places, and every time I say it, I'm like, if that wasn't Les Miles, you would have never said it. But he's the Mad Hatter,
right?
The Kooky Madookie, the grass-eating lunatic, whatever you want to call him. That's the reason that becomes a story.
Of course.
Nick Saban's had some of those.
I'm sure he has.
Maybe not that bad.
We're not all the greatest at talent evaluations, and it just goes to show you that you can be a big-time coach and still get it wrong.
I have said on this show many times I am not a fan of snow. I don't like snow. It's inconvenient. It falls and it's pretty for an hour, and then it's icky.
Uh-huh.
Well, the Buffalo Bills may not be particularly fond of snow after a police department that had absolutely nothing to do with them took a subtle jab at them. The Lakewood Police Department it's a BD in Colorado, and they live by the adage that we live by on the show of don't do crimes. Well, over the weekend, by the weekend I mean Monday, they had a snow event. It's Colorado. It snows in Colorado a lot. So they put out a Twitter post warning the public of how to be safe. And this is what they said. There will be snow 2 to 5 inches tomorrow during the AM rush hour. So you know the routine. Make sure your tires have good tread, drive slowly, and give the same amount of room to nearby cars that the Bills gave to Travis Kelce with 7 seconds left to get into field goal range. You're taking shade from a police department in a city I've never heard of. That's not a good look.
Right.
And it's 100% accurate, too.
Oh.
Just play defense. We'd be talking about Buffalo and the Rams in the Super Bowl if you could have just played defense for 13 seconds.
Yep. That's it. I kept going back to there when everybody wants to talk about how we need to change the overtime rules. All you had to do was stop them.
I'm not still bitter. Just
the
Bills and the Rams, and I had tickets with plus and a large number on both of them. One of them with both of them. Mm-hmm. That had a really big number on it.
Oh, we will be covering or live reacting to the conference championship games this Sunday. Don't forget to check that out. Sportsocracy.com will be the live video link will be on there. But if you hit the button now and you go and hit subscribe, you'll get the notification when we come on at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon to cover both of the games. This is a whole lot of fun. If you haven't checked it out yet, we go crazy in the comments. We're just hanging out, watching football, generally drinking some beers. I'm pretty sure there will be some of that on Sunday as well.
Hey, as you do.
As we come to you on Sunday for those games. Both games, the marathon broadcast that will be Sunday afternoon. All right, so I said successful coaches, and you went, what successful coaches?
Name them. Name the successful coaches.
John Fox took them to a Super Bowl.
John Fox did not take them to a Super Bowl.
I thought he did.
John Fox did not win more than 6 games with them in any year that he was the head coach.
I thought he did.
Lovie Smith.
Oh, Lovie Smith was the one. Excuse me. Lovie Smith was the one.
Yeah, and you know what? I'd love to give you Lovie Smith.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah.
Because he did lose a Super Bowl.
I was going to say he's the best coach.
He also went to the playoffs 3 times in 9 years.
Right.
So if that's your high water mark, you're pretty bad.
Well, look, that's all we got. We're the Chicago Bears, and that's all we got. Since Mike Ditka, there ain't been another good head coach here.
Yeah, Mike Ditka was the answer. And the rest were when they wore helmets that were made out of animals that were alive like 3 weeks ago. So, I mean, I don't, again, this is my I'm mad later today.
Yeah.
I am absolutely dumbfounded by the hubris of Bears fans.
Mm-hmm.
It is staggering to me. And I'll give you a couple stats as to why.
All right. And my fault, by the way, John Fox, he did go to Super Bowls with 2 different teams.
Yeah, John Fox went a combined 14-34 with the Chicago Bears.
Oh.
And he's one of the better ones.
He is one of the better ones. There ain't much doubt about that. The news this morning that started the fire hose on head coaching hires was Nathaniel Hackett, the quarterback's coach for the Green Bay Packers. He has gotten the head coaching job. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if this is the right move here. But he's going to the Denver Broncos. What are you going to do about quarterback? And, of course, the first thing everybody jumped to was, this means Aaron Rodgers is coming to Denver.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think so.
No, it doesn't mean that in any shape, form, or fashion. We've already covered that.
Right.
Why in the world would you leave the NFC to go deal with Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes,
Lamar Jackson,
et cetera? That makes no sense. You want to win. You want to get to Super Bowls right now, so you're going to leave a team that's gone to multiple NFC championship games, was the 1 seed, to go to that didn't make the playoffs with a first-time head coach because he was your offensive coordinator for 3 years? That makes sense to anyone. I cannot wrap my head around that thought. Now, alternatively, I do like this hire. I said this before. We once did a ranking of who would be my favorite coaching candidate.
Yes.
I would be way happier with this if I'm a Denver Bronco fan than I would have been with Dan Quinn.
I agree.
Dan Quinn could have hired a great staff. By the way, Dan Quinn's going back to the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
That's already
officially announced he is coming back as the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
Which might be the biggest win of the offseason for any team.
He'll just wait till next year to get that head coaching job.
Yeah, he might be the next head coach of the Cowboys. He might be sitting around going, Mike McCarthy goes 2-3. I bet I can get this.
I mean, you might be able to, but
especially with Kellen Moore as a finalist for the Dolphins.
I think we all know who the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is going to be.
He may be the next head coach of the Dolphins. They have 3 finalists. Kellen Moore's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're talking about Sean Payton.
I'm talking about Sean Payton.
Well, he wouldn't be in the middle of the season, I can promise you that.
No, absolutely not. But Nathaniel Hackett going to Denver, see, this is a hiring that I can get on with. Because I have said on this program several times, in this day and age, I would not hire a defensive coach to be my head coach. I want to find the next guy. And people say, well, what has Nathaniel Hackett really ever achieved? Well, I mean, I think there's some merit to that, but also you got to think about it. I mean, he made serviceable offenses with bad quarterbacks.
Okay, I'm going to challenge you. When did he do that ever?
Well, when he was in Buffalo, I think he did the best he could when he had E.J. Manuel and Kyle Orton. That's
way more Kyle Orton than E.J. Manuel, but yes.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, what can you do with a guy who shouldn't have been in the league in the first place?
And they were mid-tier. They were a mid-tier offense.
Right. You think about the 2017 year with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's the year.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I've seen him do that I go, okay, that was pretty good.
Right, he did it with Blake Bortles.
Yeah, the only problem is, do you remember what happened the next year?
Well, they got killed by injuries.
They were 29th in the league, offensively.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't as killed by injuries as you think they were.
Okay.
He caught lightning in a bottle against a bad schedule. Now, that being said, he has been reasonably successful. He's a smart offensive mind, and I think he will hire a really good staff in Denver. And I can't emphasize this enough. He's good with quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
What's the only problem you really see for Denver? You don't have a quarterback.
Right.
And you have no idea who it's going to be. So you do the exact opposite of what Chicago did. Hey, our defense is fine, so you know what we shouldn't do? Hire a defensive coach. That's the thing that never made sense to me about the Dan Quinn thing.
Right.
That may be the greatest thing that ever happened to the Denver Broncos is Dan Quinn went, I think I changed my mind. Not so sure I want to do this.
So they were that close with Quinn.
I heard it was done.
Oh.
And then something happened, and I don't know what it is, but it's happened in the last 48 hours. And Nathaniel Hackett was their second choice, and before he could get on a plane to go to Jacksonville, trying to keep him away from the Jaguars. It's still funny to think about.
I don't think that Nathaniel Hackett's going to be calling his old buddies from the Bills or the Jaguars to fill this space.
No, I mean, he will do fine with the staff.
I'm sure he will.
He's very well thought of in league circles.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's just a ton of talent on this team. I mean, be really honest with yourself. And this is going to be a little weird considering he just came from an offense with Aaron Rodgers. When's he ever been on a team with this much talent? He's never been great. He's also never had what could even be defined as decent talent.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got a slew of receivers. You got a tremendous backfield. I don't know if Melvin Gordon will be back, but Javonte Williams, I would argue, is a top 8 running back in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I was going to say even if Melvin Gordon doesn't stick around, you can find a guy in the draft that can back up Javonte Williams and be just fine. I could care less
if Melvin Gordon's there or not.
Right. Javonte Williams to me is going to be a Pro Bowler.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're set. They are set at every position except for quarterback. I mean, I'm sure they probably have a spot on the offensive line that I'm not thinking about. But for the most part, you've got all the pieces there to be a competitive team in the AFC. You can make some noise in your own division. I don't think I don't think either of us expect them to immediately jump over the Los Angeles Chargers or the Kansas City Chiefs at this point. Or even the Raiders. But you find the quarterback, you got a smart offensive guy in the building, and your defense is going to be just fine.
I don't really have any reservations about the defense. I don't really have any reservations about this, other than the fact that I'm going to go Seattle Seahawks on this. Best case scenario, you're probably the third best team in your own division.
Right.
Worst case scenario, you are markedly the worst team in your division.
I don't know about markedly.
I like the Raiders better. I
I know
mean,
you
we
do.
all know your Raider hatred. Okay?
I'm not.
Listen here.
This is not another
listen here,
Raider hatred.
hater. We know how you feel.
This is not another Raider hatred.
Jim Harbaugh
moment.
comes in the room. We're going to the Super Bowl.
And I will be fully on the bandwagon. I just don't know that that's going to happen.
I'm getting less sure that's going to happen.
I don't know that it is, because there's been no movement. There's been no talk about Jim coming in for an interview or anything.
Oh, you're not
like
going
that.
to hear about Jim coming
You
in.
won't?
No. That would be done as cloak and dagger as you could possibly do it.
Planes in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're meeting each other at the airport in a plane going, did anybody see me come in here?
Right. They're going to secret hangar 103.
Yeah, you're not going to get, Jim Harbaugh's flying into Las Vegas. No, because he still has to recruit.
Right.
And if he doesn't take that job, it will be used against him forever.
Very true. Once he's making that trip, you know how it's going to end.
I'm going to be honest with you, and this is just a total aside on that Raiders job. I've heard there's more traction with Gerard Mayo than you would think. I can't. Not with another Patriot. I can't do another Bill Belichick coach. Okay, this is the first time we've had everything set to where we were not going to have any Bill disciples coaching teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, he deserves to get a job. Just can we wait a year?
According to a report earlier today, Gerard Mayo, D'Amico Ryans, and Todd Bowles were the ones that have already had sit-downs outside of the organization. Rich Bisaccia had his meeting with Mark Davis, and all signs point to it went well. So,
yeah, I don't think you can hire outside of the organization unless it's Harbaugh.
I would agree.
A guy that's coached the team to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it goes badly with a first-time guy that you hired over Bisaccia, that will hang over that franchise, and it won't take long either.
Yeah.
You come out and go 2-4, and you will have a big section of that fan base saying, why didn't we just keep Bisaccia? He got us to the playoffs. Just back the truck up to Jim Harbaugh. He'll take it, I promise you.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Jim Harbaugh and taking his San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl a few years ago, I saw this stat today, and I just have to repeat it. In the last 18 Super Bowls, each game has included either Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, or the San Francisco 49ers. 18 years.
We do this same stat every year. All that happens is it modifies by the back end of that. That is the only part of that ever changes.
Right.
Ugh.
You're so tired of hearing it.
I am so tired of it. I want your quarterback to retire and go model Ugg boots.
He's going
or
to.
whatever it is he does.
He's going
Drink
to.
avocado seltzer waters, whatever you got to do. Tom, I'm over it. All right? It's been 22 years.
Listen, you're going to get your wish after we win a Super Bowl next year with him.
No, you're not going to win a Super Bowl whether he's there or not.
You're in the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville. We got Jeremy's picks of the night, Greene on Greene. It's coming up next.
I believe real estate isn't about properties. It's about people. I am Clarissa Marshall with eXp Realty,